Right, another day in the garage. Quick look at the engine setup. We're finally done, fired it up, and everything works. The catch can's plumbed up, you see that? The AN line's going through the firewall into each side of the valve cover. See that right there? And then the second one is on top with this cool bracket down to the intake. So we're ready to go. I'm just doing a few items here before we go for tune. Today we're gonna do the hood damper from IL Motorsports. I bought this from Flying Miata. It's not their product, but they do sell it. So first thing you wanna do is you wanna line up the hole spots, or you're gonna cut the holes. So from the corner right here down is 32 millimeters. You got that? So here to here is 32 millimeters. I think that's like an inch and a quarter. And then from the corner up here where the hood bracket stops down to the center is 8 mil. So hopefully you guys can line that up. Here's a closer look. 32 mil down, and to the center is 8 millimeters. That's pretty much the hardest part of this whole install. Now they want you to drill this right and tap it for a M6 1.0 bolt. Now I hate tapping by hand because sometimes I go sideways and it's pretty hard to go in perfectly straight with the hand taps. That's why most of the time I use a drill press, but it's kind of hard to do when the bracket is on the car like this with the hood right on it. You could take off the bracket and the hood, but then you have to line up everything again. So I'm going to show you a different way to do this. Now, this is my method. Don't follow it if you're not familiar with what I'm about to do. So remember, from this corner right here, I'll show you how that looks on this side. See that? See where it turns? Down to there is 32 millimeters. So again, because I know people won't understand this, right here, down 32 millimeters. From the top here down to the center is 8 millimeter. And that's all you basically need to remember. And then the other bolt goes right here. See this little bolt for the fender? That comes off and the damper goes right on there. Let me get the damper. It's on this table. This is my install table with all the good stuff that I have sitting around waiting to be installed. So here's the hood damper, as you can see. Pretty simple. This is by IL Motorsports, sold by Flying Miata, and they just put a sticker on there, but the sticker came off, so it's just a black damper now. So what you want to do is you're going to take off this bolt right here, and then you bolt this on like so. It's hard to do this with this giant camera in my hand. And then the other piece goes over there. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that, and hopefully goes on just right. Alright, so IL Motorsports wants you to drill this and tap it for M6 1.0, correct? Now, I don't like doing that like I just said because sometimes I go sideways on my taps, my hand taps. I'm not that great. I'm not, a machine, so I don't trust myself. So, we're gonna use my favorite freaking thing in the world. Oh, about to drop it on my fender. Nutserts, right here. Now, I'm just gonna drill a hole, put this nutsert through, and then expand it. That way I have an instant insert or threaded barrel. I don't have to mess with taps. I don't need to go buy the tap and the tool, and it's perfectly straight. This is where it goes on to, see that? M6 1.0, and if you screw this on, it's perfect. See that? There you go. Now, this looks kind of long right now because obviously it's not compressed yet, but once we insert it in here and it's compressed, it should be pretty damn awesome. Now, like I said, if you're not familiar with how I'm doing this, do it the other way, but this is the cleanest way possible, and I think it's a little bit easier if you already have the tools. Now, if you don't know what a nutsert is, watch my nutsert video. I pretty much break down what the heck this is. I'm surprised they don't give you nutserts to do this because it's an awesome way to do the install. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get old microfibers. I'm going to lay it all over the fender over here, inside over here, because it likes to, all the shrapnel tends to fall down this way. And if you use old microfibers, it actually traps all the shrapnel and won't get anywhere. And I'll just put a blanket in this area right here, because if you don't, you might end up scratching all this good stuff. All right, we're gonna carefully put microfibers in here. Make sure we cover everything. Then we're also gonna blow this area out with compressed air just in case. So that's good. When I drill through here, everything should be fine. I'm just gonna put a piece of plastic right here just in case. So Mr. Tape is back. I'm telling you guys, blue tape is a must in the garage if you're as anal as I am. All right, so we're just gonna put this right over, then we put the micro, then we tape this over the fender and tape some right here. Now we're pretty bulletproof. Just in case we miss and end up punching something, I'm gonna put a bit of tape on this area right here. Totally not necessary, but like I said, tape's cheap and paint's expensive. Right, before we drill, I have this. Now this looks like just a piece of tape, but there's an actual blade in here, blade for a box cutter, and it's thin enough to slip behind this area right here. See that? Now I'm gonna put that in there because just in case I blow through here too fast, it'll hit the blade and not the hood in the back. And this is a 1-inch, or I think it's a 1-inch blade. It's perfect. It just slides right in there, and that's hard steel. So just insurance. Now you could take off the hood to do this, but again, that's gonna take time and you'd have to mess with alignment again. So next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get our center punch this guy, and then drill our holes. The hole obviously needs to be big enough for the nutsert. So here's what we're gonna use. This is my favorite center punch, and it basically makes sure that your drill bit doesn't walk around. Show you how this works. So obviously you go to your freaking centering hole or centering line, take this and you punch it several times. All right, so we're gonna press this in. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The more the merrier, I guess. There you go. There's a small divot in there now, and once we drill it, it won't walk. A couple more times. There you go. So now we hit it with a drill, and hopefully we don't punch through too hard. All right, so here's our drill bit. I'm gonna put a little bit of gun lube on there. You could use whatever lube you want, but I like the gun lube because it has a little dropper. See that? I did punch through just a little bit, not too hard, but if I didn't have that piece of blade in the back, I could have poked my paint. All right, so next we're gonna go with a bigger drill bit. Now if you have a caliper, this guy right here, measure the outside diameter, the OD of the barrel, to make sure that you have the proper size drill bit to do this. So right here it looks like 8.87 millimeters. I think I have something close. You want it to be pretty tight, so you don't want to drill like a 10 millimeter hole and hopefully this thing sits, because the outside of this flange is only about 10.10 and that'll slide off. See that? There's a little flange on there on the tip. All right, this is the last drill bit. That's exactly why I said you need that piece of blade in the back, because now you can see what I mean. So right here, see that? That thing is scratched up on the back. It didn't go through, obviously. So now that's off. We're gonna take off our piece of tape here, hopefully, Everything looks good behind it. Nice and fresh, hopefully. There you go. And then we're gonna take a little reamer through the outside right here. It doesn't have to be super fast. We're gonna wipe this very, very carefully. There you go. Everything looks good. And after I'm done, I'm just gonna blow this whole area with air. Look at that, nice and clean. Now we're gonna clean up all this crap right here, but if you look through there, there's no scratch and looking pretty fresh. Look at this. Ah, perfect. Now hopefully my nutsert just fits right in there. All right, so next step, we're gonna take our nutsert, we're gonna push it through here and see if it fits. And it looks like it's pretty damn good. Now, it's hitting the back a little bit, but I think we will be okay once we tighten it down. It's a bit tight, but hopefully we can get it in there. You see what I mean? It looks really clean like that. So there it is, if you look closely, nice and flush. Now I'm going to test the threads, make sure it's on. And these are locking nuts as well, serrated, not factory. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this bolt right here on the fender. This is where the other side of the strut mounts onto. Then now that we have that perfectly made thread, they should all kind of go in together fine. I did kind of loosen up the hood hinges real quick, but I put these pieces of tape here to kind of guide me on where they should go back. Now to undo the little clip that goes on here, all you have to do is move them sideways. So see that clip right there? You move this sideways, bam, then you can pull it off like so, and then these guys will actually pop out. Come on. There you go. And you can mount them on there one by one. Now, just in case these things come loose, I'm going to use a little bit of blue. Just a tad bit, not a lot. And I'll show you how this is mounted after. But the socket size is a M11. So M11 will be your best friend. So this guy goes in there. Alright, so once they're on by hand, get your 11 mil and tighten them down all the way. Okay. Now you could use a wrench, makes your life harder, but whatever you got. Alright, so these guys are now tightened. That's an 11 millimeter socket, just saying. Some of you guys might not have that, but makes your life a lot easier. And over here, as you can see, hit my camera on the hood, I have my OEM washer. Well, not really OEM, but for me, I use that OEM washer to spread the forces evenly on here. So once that's on, that's around 78 inch-pounds. Same with this. Now you put the strut on. Hopefully everything fits. But as you can see, so much cleaner, and I know it's secured. I've tried to use hand taps before, and I usually make threads too damn big, and the bolt kind of wobbles around, and I hate that. So when I can, I use these nutserts. Voila! All right. So this side is nice and done. I'll give you a close-up. So there you go. There's that little pin I'm talking about. It slides on here first, and then it rolls over. It's a bit tight, but it'll work. Oh, and if you want to push this in first, that's fine. I did compress this all the way down 2 times before installing it, because if you don't, it's super hard to compress. and it feels like it's stuck. So press it down a couple of times before you install it on the car. But there you go. There's a little pin, and there's the nutsert. Nice and clean. I'm gonna close the hood real quick and see if it works. It's actually just being held on by one strut. Okay. Okay. Clearance, clearance, clearance. Beauty! That was my inner Yoda. Awesome! Alright. We're gonna, oh shit, that won't even fit. It's fine. So, there you go, my friends. Pretty easy to install. How long did it take? Roughly 30 minutes with all my fussing. And if you're not super anal, you can do this fairly quick. So, is it worth it? Yeah? Because now I can work on the engine bay without hitting the freaking prop rod. I hate hitting that prop rod, and I've done it many, many times. So with this setup, clears this up, and it actually holds the hood up higher. All right, so now I'm gonna do this side in real time so you guys can see how long it actually, well, how long it actually takes, but I'm gonna fast forward it. It's hot as fuck in my garage. It's like 90 degrees in here, so I'm sweating balls. So let's do this.